Ibanifo Memama Kwaba. My name is Joshua, and this is The Gospel and Life, the channel that promises to show you the truth about God's gospel and how it relates to every aspect of our lives. Now, in the last episode, I made mention of some of the concerning realities of today's Christianity, and it was more of an introductory episode where I introduced myself, I introduced this channel, and I introduced the vision of this channel. If you haven't watched that, I suggest you go back to the channel page and you look through the videos over there. And before I move on, I would want you to support my channel by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. This helps the YouTube algorithm to push my video to more people. Now, let's get down to business. The last episode, like I said, I stated some concerning things about today's Christianity, and the sum of it all is today's Christianity has shifted from the fundamentals onto other stuff. And these fundamentals are also the essentials of Christianity. Basically, without these fundamentals, Christianity is not even Christianity in the first place. And some of the fundamentals I'm talking about centers around the message of the gospel. And one of the key things I mentioned was that if randomly I choose a number of Christians and I tell them to define the gospel, I will get different answers. Like, this is proven. I've done this so many times to know, this is a proven fact, right? And not just different answers, but contradicting answers. And what makes this very concerning is the fact that if, we have different and contradicting answers, that means that all of them can't be true at the same time, right? It's either say back and answer no other options. So this leads me to the aim of this channel, which is to what? Emphasize the gospel. And what makes this one of the most important things ever is because of what Paul says in Romans 1 verse 16, that the gospel is the power of God unto salvation for everyone who believes. And here is the implication of this text. If you are a Christian, I'm assuming you are a Christian listening to me, or if you are not a Christian, correct, the one thing you ought to get correct is the message of the gospel. Why? Because it is the power of God unto salvation. Without it, there's no salvation. And today, the aim of this episode in particular is to highlight the centrality of the gospel to the Christian faith. Indeed, we've already talked about Romans 1 verse 16, where Paul says that the power of God unto salvation is the gospel, right? Now we understand the implication. Now, I want to point out something that I missed as an individual, and it's found prior to Paul making this particular statement. It's found in verse 15 of Romans chapter 1, where Paul says that, so I am eager to preach the gospel to you also who are in Rome. The reason I found this very fascinating is that the church in Rome had already been set up. It had already been established for years. There were Christians over there, and this church was thriving in Rome. And this is years after the church has been set up, and Paul is writing to the people over there. And what is Paul concerned about? Let's read verse 15 again. I am eager to preach the gospel to you also who are in Rome. And I found this very fascinating because how did the church even start? It started with the gospel, because it was the gospel which is the message that serves as an entry for people to become Christians. Without the gospel, there are no Christians. Years later, Paul is expressing his eagerness to come back to the people in Rome. And what message is he still talking about? He is still talking about the gospel. And I found this very fascinating. Why? Because the very next verse, I am not ashamed of the gospel. Why? Because it is the power of God unto salvation. And this makes it so fascinating, because when we compare the reality of today's Christianity, you invited some guest minister be sombra, right? Yes, a guest minister be yes, ombra. How many times have you ever heard these people emphasize the gospel? I'll say this as a matter of personal experience. No one ever emphasizes the gospel. It's about other stuff. It's about deliverance. It's about we know, yeah, to Ghana as the gospel, right? And I know, say I'm smiling, but this is a very concerning thing. Again, I'm making the point again. The gospel is the message of God. That's what carries the power unto salvation. So the Christian life, if we were to describe the Christian life, it doesn't start with the gospel and end somewhere. It doesn't start with the gospel and then moves on to how you can advance in life or breakthroughs in life and all that. Not to say it's but then we will realize that today's Christianity, all these other things, have taken place of the gospel. But Paul states over here, after all these years, he could have said today he has something else to teach you guys. He could have said today he has some other things to emphasize, some deeper mysteries to explain to you. But no, he went back to the fundamentals. He went back to the same thing he started with these people. And it was always about the gospel, right? The message that carries the power of God to save people. And the concerning reality is that this message is lost in today's Christianity. This message has been dumbed down. Yentisa message way. I can tell you as a matter of fact, say how many times you've heard this message. The gospel, the gospel, the gospel. What is it? This message of the gospel carries power. It carries power to save people. Now, I know that we haven't really gone into the details of what this message is, and I want you to take some time to, just think about it. Say message we na jinko phone kwa. Sa message enoni message ben. Now you as an individual, do you know for certain that you understand this message, that you know this message, and most importantly, that you believe this message? That's what I want to leave you with today, for you to realize that Christianity, its center is the gospel. Its center is the message within the gospel that what saves people. So like I said the other time, I want you to use this as an opportunity to just do some research, to just try and start Googling something, start searching something, start asking questions. Do you really know the gospel? I know that I haven't told you what the gospel is yet. I know we will do this at a later point in time, maybe the next episode, but I wanted to show you today, through these few verses I've highlighted, the centrality of the message of the gospel. And you will find this everywhere. Look, I can dare you right now, look through all the epistles in the New Testament. From start to finish, it's always about the gospel. And it's amazing how sometimes we miss this. I don't want to waste much of your time, but I want you to use this opportunity to start asking questions. What is the gospel? What is this message that saves people? What is this message which every single individual in this universe needs? And only message ben I jinko phone kwano. Ask these questions, do some research, and let us all come into a better understanding and a complete knowledge of the gospel of Jesus Christ, which saves people. Manuesi, Impenifo, Medamasese, you watched this episode, and in the next episode, I will make sure to properly go into detail what this message of the gospel is, so that we can all be confident in our knowledge of God, of His gospel, and of the scriptures. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with your friends so that all of us can join hands and push for a reformation that prioritizes the gospel and its relevance to every aspect of our lives. I'll see you next time. Stay tuned. God bless you.